now we're going to look at the No Dub Czech Nymph, and like the one before, it's exactly what it says it is. This time we saw the previous fly was quite dubbing hungry, and I'm quite keen to show any of you that don't like dubbing so much that there is still light at the end of the tunnel. This isn't a particular style of tying that you have to avoid. So here we have just another simple colour combination of Czech Nymph, but I'm going to show you how to make it without using dubbing. So hook-wise, exactly the same as previously, so the Sprite buzzer hook, and I think it's the S2100 if you want to look at it code-wise. Nice pronounced bend, and that's straightening in the thorax. And we'll take our wire. Again, we're going to look at loading the wire in a similar fashion. So the full length of the body to begin with. Start our turns and push together with our thumbnails. Continue going. So the thing about tying these types of flies is you go through a lot of lead wire, but also quite a lot of wrapping. So here's that key turn back, nice big open turn back, and then touching turns just to create that thorax area. Any of you that watched any of the shrimp videos that I did will see that I weight my shrimp more in the middle, but traditionally Czech nymphs are more caddis style flyers where the bulk of the fly is at the thorax area, so you would have a continuous taper towards the front. Thread-wise, we've got our Semperfli black nano silk, and we're going to create that little thread base at the beginning. Just rock the wire forward against it. Nice open turns over the wire, not to put too much pressure on. And then our little thread base at the back there. And we're just going to trim that tag out. And nice webbed open turns going forward. If it ever gets just caught winding in the same place, just ease it forward with your thumbnail. I'll get out of doing that. There we have it. Then our first rib material, which is our 7X copolymer that I've preloaded on the thread spool. Offer up a tag, it's a small one, and allow it to rotate into position. Oh, don't do that. Just have to tie that in again. It's one of the joys of using slick materials, as they can pull out from time to time. Hopefully that's caught in a little better. Just lengthen that off and hang it at the back there. Then we're going to add in our Semperfli ultra thin skin in golden brown. And we do that by first cutting an arrow shape into the back material. Offer it up to the hook and allow the thread to rotate that into position so that it's centered on top of the hook. Tighten down with our thread. Suffice to hold that out of the way, and then find your rib material. For this particular pattern, I'm using the Semperfli Perdigon body material. in fluorescent orange. Again, you can use a gold rib. You can vary it, try lots of different color combinations. These really are just color suggestions. There's lots of combinations out there that you can do. So for this, offer up the tag end again and trap it down. Tidy everything up there. Take our thread down to the bottom, and now for our body material that's not dubbing, we're taking this really useful material called Dirty Bug Yarn by Semperfli. This particular one is Mottled Golden Olive. If you wanted to tie the color combination we just did, they do a Ryak color, and they do a caddis green, so you can replicate the previous color. So it's just to show you a slightly different color combination. So before I tie with the material, I just want to show you that this is a 2-strand yarn. It's quite important because it's a twisted yarn, and in order to get the profile that we want, we need to understand that this is a 2-strand twisted yarn, and in order to lay thin wraps at the beginning, we will need to open those twists out so that they don't lie too thick, and then as we get later on into the body, we can twist it up so it creates more bulk. And just as the other materials, offer up the tag end, allow it to rotate itself into position, and just try with each turn to rotate forward. I try and tie this tag end so it only just reaches the lead, so it doesn't create any unnecessary bulk. And then we'll take our thread to where that thickness in the wire and one big open turn. See why in a short while. And then, as I say, this is a 2-strand yarn, so try and make sure that these first turns are laying so the 2 strands are side by side, and keep it going like that for about half of the fly. Now we can start to bind the two together, which will give you a slight taper. Once we get to this point, take our thread back and take the thread through a couple of turns in front, and then we can whip that body material out, and we're going to take another color of Dirty Bug yarn, this time in Mottled dark green. So we've got that dark combination, the darker thorax area, which most flies that we're trying to replicate have a darker thorax section. As before, we want to just trap in a small tag end, and I've tried to do it before I've got that bulk of the wire, just marginally take my thread forward, so that half hitch so it's not going anywhere, and then begin to wind. Try and cover up any blank spaces that you might have created by tying off the previous material. And now, almost in the reverse to before, you want to keep the 2 strands together until you get to this front stage where you can allow them to break apart, so you get a taper forwards. And a couple of thread turns in front and behind, so that half hitch over, and just come in with our scissors and cut that thorax material out, and now we're going to wrap our fluorescent orange first rib round, like with the previous fly. Nice open rib turns. You'll see, because it's quite a clear rib material, it doesn't always show up, but you'll see when you get it, when it catches particular bits of daylight, it suddenly just springs to life. And that's what we want with a rib. We don't necessarily want something that's going to shine all the time. It's just something that's going to offer an extra sighter during the day's fishing. So whip finish at that point. Take our thread off and take our finished rib out. And now we're going to take the copolymer rib that we tied in earlier, ease the back forward, take one turn behind the back. Now hold the rib forward. As I said with the previous fly, I like to try and match my first rib turn for turn with my second rib, but it's not vitally important. And just allow that copolymer to dig in all the way till you get to the front. And place a couple of locking turns, a couple in front, and whip finish. Let's hold that up there. I could say it's quite a slick material, both the back and the rib. So I want to get my nano silk back on. And I'll get a couple of important locking turns over there. Trim that out of the way. We can tidy that up in a second. I just want to first of all, just want to not get that stuck. Just want to lock this rib out. Cut it out there. And we're just going to make sure that this bat's also locked in. Right. And then cut it down. Don't worry too much if there's a little bit of tag showing at this point, because we're going to wind down that and get our whip finish tool. And put our securing head turns in, and you'll see there we have it. We've tied a Czech nymph without having to do any dubbing. The yarn can still be, using a dubbing needle, can still have strands teased out of it. So just spend a bit of time just easing it out. It's not, using the yarn's not quite as versatile as using a dubbing, but as I say, for any of you who struggle or find dubbing a little bit challenging, this is a great way around to tie some very effective fishing flies. So the No Dub Czech Nymph.